Hello and welcome to Michigan Business Talk. My name is Mike Doctor. Thank you so much for joining us again today. It is Wednesday. It is February 24th. Can you believe it? We're already at the end of February. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It doesn't seem like it's there already. But here we are. And man, a lot's happening. A lot's going on. Things are starting to open back up. Some other things are still closed down. We hear a lot of stuff about what's going to happen next and stimuli plans, plural, because there's multiple and all these other things. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of unknowns. And I'm excited to bring you some more information today and try and help you through sort of this rebuild process. I know a lot of people have been in a scenario where, whether you're at work in your career or whether you're individually a business owner, you've had a lot of gnarly stuff that's happened to you. And so season 2 specifically of the Michigan Business Talk podcast is 100% dedicated to the rebuild and just quite honestly just talking about things and calling out things that are important and things that we need to understand and the different aspects of the rebuild process. And today's topic is going to be on stress and stress related to what's happened over the last 18 months and everything that has come as a part of that. And maybe not 18 months, but for sure over the last 12, as we head into March now, and it's been almost a year since this is going on. I think that I think a lot of people have experienced different levels of stress, and it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter if you're a business owner like me, or if you're somebody who is leading an organization, or if you're just somebody who's leading your family. Look, this is something that we all deal with, and it doesn't have to do with business. Stress is a major thing that we need to understand, and we really need to understand it, because if we don't understand it, we can't figure out how to get through it, and we're taking minutes, days, years off of our lives. I can promise you that. So before we do that, guys, thank you so much to all of you. No matter what platform you're consuming this content, whether you're only taking the couple minutes that's posted on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, or you're listening to the entire thing on Apple Podcasts or Amazon Alexa or whatever it is that you're listening on, whatever your listening medium is for Michigan Business Talk, or if you're watching the whole thing on YouTube, I really appreciate it. I can't thank you enough. And really the biggest thing you could do to thank me for that is just to like and share this. Just like and comment. If you like it, please like it, like literally like it on the platforms. Give me a heart, give me a double tap, whatever it is they call now. What it does, guys, is it's not for my ego, but what it does is it allows other people to find this content. And the whole reason I'm spending time doing this is not because I get paid to do it, but because I genuinely believe that this is valuable content that can help people, and it can help people get to that next step. And everybody uses next level, and sometimes next level isn't the right best thing, because you're just trying to step in the right direction and get to that next step and really just sort of know what to do. So these recordings are designed specifically to share with you the things I've gone through, some of the things other people I know have gone through, who are much more successful than me, or a lot of local businesses we've interviewed on season 1, all their stories and all the things that they've struggled with, the things that have also worked for them. I mean, my goodness, it's important to know what works for you as well as what doesn't work for you. And there's a lot of valuable content. So if you think that any of this could be valuable to you, please share. Please let us know. We would love to have that get out to as many people as possible. I would love for that to happen, and it would be the biggest thing that you could do to help me out. So that being said, last bit of housekeeping is a big shout out to Webb Chemical in Muskegon, Michigan. We had such an awesome session there last week on Wednesday with their management team, with their executive team, talking about motivation in 2021, effective motivation, emotional intelligence, how to not just impact motivation by making sure people are satisfied with their job and with their work task and have enough recognition, but also to how to eliminate dissatisfaction in their workplace and make sure that they have the right infrastructure and the best possible circumstance that will allow what it is that they want to unfold naturally and allow their employees to perform at their highest levels possible. And so we just had a really great session, and I wanted to thank them for that. So shout out to you guys if any of you are listening. I know a few of you do. So thank you. Really cool session. You guys were awesome. And, one of the things about this topic and one of the reasons I bring up the corporation, because a lot of people who listen to this, I think, are just business owners. And this topic specifically of stress is, I think, something that's going to be able to be, I want to say cross-cultural, I guess. That's not really what I mean. But in terms of business culture, from a corporate environment to an entrepreneurial environment, anybody who takes and decides to undergo any bit of responsibility, and you take that on yourself and you put that on your shoulders, you're going to experience a certain level of stress. It's inherent. It's science. It's just the way it works. If you've got a weight that you need to bear, that weight will bear down on you. And if you don't understand how to get through that and how to carry that weight the best possible way, it's going to crush you. It's absolutely going to crush you. And so what this podcast is going to be about today is just recognizing that this occurs. Next week, we're going to talk about how to treat it, right? What are the treatments? What is the therapy for the stress? What are the things we can do that doesn't spiral us into some sort of self-destruction? Because a lot of things with leaders and a lot of things, I think, with business owners is, if we're not part of a community of other people like us, it becomes very, very hard to share what it is that we're going through. And the reason for that is because we're put in this position, and part of our role in the position of leadership and part of our role in a position of management or power or whatever you want to call it is to ensure that our employees, our managers, our people, our crew, right, our pack doesn't deal with all of the nonsense that's actually happening right now. They don't deal with it. They don't deal with the big worrisome calls of what's going to happen economically. They don't have to deal with what happens in the next presidential election. They don't have to deal with what's happening financially with investments. They don't have to deal with infrastructure bills. They don't have to deal with any of that. But you do. And when you have to deal with it and nobody else has to deal with it, what that means is there's very narrow perspective, and there's a very small amount of things that you can share with somebody who doesn't see things the same way that you see them before that sharing and that conversation starts to turn counterproductive, right? There's a threshold of things that somebody who doesn't understand your perspective can take in. It's the way the brain works. If they don't get it and they can't look at it from the way you're looking at it, then there's no possible way for them to really truly empathize and really truly be able to understand unless they have next level emotional intelligence and can really dive into that with you. But a lot of people don't have that patience, right? A lot of people don't have that patience because guess what? They're dealing with their own perspective and their own world. And in that own perspective and in that own world, they have levels of stresses that they think are absolutely unbelievable. And they look at you as the boss and the manager, and you pull up in the BMW or the Mercedes or whatever it is that you drive. It's probably nicer than their vehicle because you probably make a better salary than they do, and you get to make the rules, and you get to go on vacation when you want to, and they have to ask you for approval. And then you come in and you talk about some sort of stress that you have, and they're like, well, wait a minute, you have all this money, you have all this power, you have all this time. We can't relate to that. Why would we empathize with you? Why would we want to give you a shoulder to cry on? You're supposed to be our shoulder to cry on. So management and leadership, it's a lonely, lonely, lonely place. It's a lonely place. It's why there's so many books on positive mental attitude. It's why there's so many books on, coaching and training and getting to your next level. Look at some of the top stars in the world, and obviously hearts go out to Tiger Woods and his family and friends and everything, and we're glad he's okay with his accident, and I believe the surgeries went well with everything. But you look at somebody who's on the top of the world and on top of the game and has always been that person who's supposed to be that leader, and all that pressure is thrust on them. Some of the things that happen in that individual's life or those individuals' lives, obviously it's going to happen. Because who else does he have to talk to about it? Who else is he going to speak with about it? He was the number one athlete in the world. The number one athlete in the world. And you can talk to other athletes about it, about the pressures and the things like that, but you got to be mature enough to go out and seek that counsel. Because what happens when you don't, guys, is I think the reason we get stressed And the reason, probably more so than anything else, that stress piles on us is because we're thinking about, focusing on, worried about the unknown. The unknown things. What are the unknown? What's going to happen next? And the majority of our stress comes from the result of us not having a certain piece of information or a certain bit of information that we need. Us not having a piece of the puzzle that we need to be able to put everything together and resolve everything in our brains. And that missing piece is the one that is just bearing down on us. And we're so afraid to confront it that what we do is we stockpile all this pressure. It just keeps coming down, and we put it on our shoulders, and we put it on our shoulders, and we put it on our shoulders because we refuse to talk about, we refuse to address, we refuse to see what's actually going on, and that is that we're hiding from the things that we don't even know if they're a problem yet. We don't even know if they're an issue yet. How many times out the course of this past year have you thought that something that happened was going to be the absolute end of the world, and you were so scared about a conversation that you had to have either with a creditor or with your family? We talked about that last week, these difficult conversations, right? The stress doesn't come from the actual conversation unless that individual, again, like we talked about, is somebody who's just adverse to being on your side. Stress doesn't come from that. The stress comes from not knowing what that conversation is going to be like. And when we don't know what that conversation is going to be like, we tell ourselves a story based on the possible outcomes. And the majority of the time, if we're not careful about the stories that we tell ourselves and how important our words are, we need to understand that our words are so insanely important. The story and the narrative we tell ourselves, if we're not in control of that, what ultimately will end up happening is we will spiral out of control in this ridiculous rabbit hole of things that aren't even true. And we'll lose sleep, and we'll lose time with our friends, and time with our kids, and time with our wife, and time with our parents, and time with our time doing things that we actually enjoy doing that are stress-free, because we're so worried about this little ridiculous unknown. It's the fight or flight mentality, and a lot of times we choose to just not address it. Well, guess what? That's why you're stressed. You're not stressed because of what you have to address. You're stressed because you're not addressing it. You're stressed because you're not doing anything about it. You're stressed because you have chosen to hide. And if you've chosen to hide, then all there is darkness and unknown. You can't shine a light on it. And yeah, sometimes when we shine a light on stuff, it doesn't feel good. It hurts. It burns. It sunburns, or it blinds us. Sometimes that happens. But I'll tell you, that's only temporary. The darkness that can consume you and just weigh on you, the unknown, that all happens up here. Right? When you shine a light on something, you know what's there. You know what's there. If you don't shine a light on something, the only thing you can do is speculate. And guess what? We're not smart enough, most of us, many of us, I'm guilty of it too. We're not smart enough to always control our brains and always control that voice in our heads and always control that depression and always control, what happens as a result of fear. Because we're just scared of it. We think that we're, for whatever reason, the only people who are going through this. We think that we are, for whatever reason, the only individuals who, have experienced this thing, have seen this, have felt this way. And the reason we feel that way is because of all this ridiculous nonsense that happens on social media and all this ridiculous stuff that goes on about just smash it, just get through it, just do this, just do that. Yeah, right? That's true. You have to do that. If you don't act, nothing happens. But when you act without actually understanding, when you make a decision, you don't know a bit of information, how do you know if you're making the right decision? How do you know if you even have something to be stressed out about? Why are you doing that to yourself? There's no reason for it. The only thing it does is just continues to bog down on you, and it affects your mood in a negative way, and it hurts your relationship with the people you care about. That's what it does. And it makes you feel worse about yourself, which, guess what? The worse you feel about yourself, the harder it is to feel better about yourself. That's why everybody says start now, start today, act now. Because the longer you sit and the longer you allow the snowball to keep gathering momentum, the longer you do that, the harder it is to break out. The harder it is to break free. And then what do you do? Then you're in a dark spot. And that's not where we want to be. And a lot of us, I know for me, the first time I started experiencing some of these things and the first time I started experiencing a lot of this stress, I didn't know what to do about it. Because things have been going so well for so long. So well for so long. And then all of a sudden, all this stuff happens and it's like, holy crap. Let's get back to reality for a second. Let's deal with all these problems. Let's deal with all this stuff. And thankfully, I had my wonderful wife who runs businesses with me, so she understands and we can talk about it a little bit. And we can talk about the swings and the volatility and all that stuff. But for a lot of us who either are going through things by ourselves, maybe we're single, maybe we don't have a supportive significant other, maybe they are supportive, but they're just in a different world. Maybe they're just in corporate America and they don't have to deal with stuff, and you're out here taking all these risks and planning for all this stuff and trying to survive, and you have all this stuff and you just can't talk about it. And that sucks, man. That really sucks. And there are communities of people that can help you with that. And we're going to talk about the therapy, and we're going to talk about how to deal with that going forward into next week. But the most important thing that I want you guys, well, not next week, but 2 weeks from now, next episode. The most important thing, though, that I want you guys to take from this is it's okay to understand that the stress is going to exist. But we need to understand where it's coming from, right? We need to understand exactly where and what the reasons are for it. And a lot of times we don't understand that because we try to hide from things. And when you try to hide from things, that's what actually piles it on. Stress comes from the unknown. If you know about something, good or bad, well, the only stress that's coming from that then is the result of something that could be beyond that you don't know about. If you know something is good or bad, then there should be no stress anymore because you already know that thing's out there. And then what you're worrying about is what's going to happen if. That's where your stress comes from. Well, guess what? The what if doesn't exist. And the reason the what if doesn't exist is because it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. And you've been running away from something the entire time, and you don't even know what it is. You don't even know what it is. It could be good. It could be an opportunity to do something better. Could be an opportunity to get back on track faster. Could be a conversation that allows you to do something different with your life, that opens up a door for something new. You don't know. But the reason you don't know is because you've hidden from it and you can't hide from it anymore. You can't hide from it anymore. That's what's causing you more stress. When you seclude yourself and you go inward in this stuff, that's what piles it on. That's what kills it. That's what is so heavy on your shoulders, man. And if you feel that way, I feel for you, and reach out to me. Comment on this post. Let us know what it is. Send an email. Hit me up on the website. Hit me up on social media, because this stuff isn't easy. This stuff is hard. And it's scary. And it makes us worry. And it makes us wonder if we're making the right decisions and if we've chosen to do the right things with our life and everything else. But guess what, guys? It doesn't need to be that overwhelming. It doesn't need to be that overwhelming, because you can chip away at the stress one conversation at a time. One conversation at a time. If there's something you're stressed out about, it's because something's in the dark. And that thing that's in the dark is the thing that you need to bring to light. Because otherwise, you're just going to keep telling yourself stories. And whether they're good stories or they're bad stories, it's still going to cause anxiety. Because even if they're good stories, then you're just thinking about, well, what if this turns out this way? What if this happens this way? Traders struggle with this all the time, okay? When you go to bed at night and you're waiting for what those futures are going to do, and you wake up at 5:30 in the morning because you made a decision the day before, and now you're waiting to see if your decision was the right decision or not. Yesterday, a lot of people got smashed in the face first thing in the morning, and a lot of people panic sold. And when you panic sell because you don't know what's going to happen next and you don't have confidence in what's going to happen next, guess what? You end up losing. And one of the reasons you panic sold is because you didn't understand what was going on. And that's what you were stressing about. And so instead of discovering the information and addressing the information, you chose to hide. And you just hit the sell button. And that's okay. You can do that. But guess what? Now you don't have that money anymore. And now things are back positive, more positive than they were. A lot of the stocks that were negative are tracking right back up. I'm looking at them right now. And guess what? It's because there was more information that was forthcoming. And we didn't know yet. And so we freaked out. So here's what I want you to take from this, guys. As we wrap up here right now, here's what I want you to take from this. If you're stressed about something, it's because that thing is unknown. And the only way to start to chip away at that stress is to make it known. Make it known. Have the conversation. Have the conversation, right? Don't have it painfully. Just have the conversation. Gather information. Find that missing link. Find that missing piece. Until you do, you're going to continue to be stressed. And it's going to keep piling on, and it's going to get heavier and 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 heavier the longer you stay in the dark. And a lot of that is self-inflicted for us, guys, just like most of this stuff is. A lot of it's self-inflicted. So let's acknowledge the stress. Let's understand where it comes from. And let's start to take some action and bring these things to light so we can start to eliminate some of that stress. Next week, we're going to talk about some of the therapy. We'll talk about some of the treatment for some of the stress. We're going to talk about what we need to do to start to recover and get healthy from when that stress eats away at us, because it does. But it doesn't have to, like we talked about today. So again, guys, thank you for listening. My name is Mike Doctor. It's Michigan Business Talk. I am super excited to continue bringing you guys the rest of this series on the rebuild for season 2. If you did like this information, please share it. Please like it. Please send a comment. If you're stressed out about something, hit me up directly. Go to my website, MikeDoctor.com. You can connect with me there through a variety of different ways. I answer all the messages that come through to me. So if you are stressed about something, I want to help. Again, thank you guys so much. Very much appreciate it. You're awesome. Thank you for listening. Thank you for continuing to make this a thing and for your positive comments and letting me know that it helps you. So thanks again, guys. We'll talk soon. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. Bye now.